Fast is great, and we appreciate fast. We more appreciate accuracy.
Election officials across the country urging patience amid legal challenges and some pockets of unrest.
Law enforcement scouring a Ramona neighborhood looking for the gunman in a deadly shooting.
And how local businesses are preparing for the possibility that they will have to once again move back inside. ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
Good morning. Welcome to ABC 10 News at 11. I'm Virginia Cha.
And I'm Jim Patton. Good to have you with us. And we begin with the latest on the presidential election.
There are legal battles brewing as states work to finalize the numbers that they have there. The Trump campaign has asked for court intervention in several states already that still have not been called. Now, this morning, a judge dismissed a challenge in Georgia focused on the handling of absentee ballots. The Trump campaign's legal request in Pennsylvania asking to observe ballot counting up close has been granted. And in just the last few hours, the Trump campaign alleged voter fraud in Nevada, saying they are filing for intervention there, even as election officials deny those claims.
And this all coming after some unrest overnight in Portland, a riot declared overnight, and in Washington, a protest calling for votes to be counted. Meanwhile, in Arizona, a group reportedly including some who were armed demanding to be let inside a voting center where they're still tallying the ballots there. So still unclear how long these legal challenges could drag out the election or how long they could play out in court.
Joining us to offer a little more clarity about what to expect, USD business law professor Craig Barkas. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
So let's talk about the timing here. So you have seen the nature of some of the allegations that are part of the Trump campaign's challenges in different states. What do you make of that, and how long do you think that could drag things out?
Yes, one thing that I've noticed about the various allegations is there really isn't a coherent theme. What you're seeing is different claims being made in different jurisdictions. So there's no overarching theme. Second, and I really want to be as fair as I can about this, but I practice law. I was a trial lawyer, and I'm so far the allegations have been long on rhetoric and short on evidence. You can get into the courthouse and you can make your claim, but you still ultimately the court's going to say, well, what evidence do you have? And so far it has not been compelling. You already made reference to that case in Georgia. There was an hour-long hearing about some absentee ballots allegedly mishandled. After an hour-long hearing, the judge dismissed it. So I'm not seeing any evidence yet that can sustain some sort of successful court outcome. I'm hearing a lot of allegations, but so far it's been short on evidence.
And Mr. Barkas, it sounds like the courts have been on standby here because they have been responding in a number of cases already very quickly. Is that the case? Have they just been waiting for these to come down the pipe?
Yeah, great observation. This was telegraphed. I mean, it was announced that there were teams of lawyers already in place, and I think people anticipated a close election in many jurisdictions, and it's happened, and the courts knew it was coming, and they seem to be prepared for it.
Professor Barkas, as you know, election workers have been working overtime trying to count the many ballots, so many mail-in ballots coming in this year. Doesn't it matter, even if, let's say for argument's sake, that some mistakes were made? Isn't intent important here as to whether anyone was actually trying to cheat the system?
Yeah, I think intent would be critically important because that would be the underlying, that would support any allegation that there was some sort of a act of fraud taking place. And when you have over 100 million people, well over 100 million people voting, and human beings counting this mass of mail-in ballots, there might be mistakes here and there. But so far, there's been no evidence of systemic fraud. And in addition, actually, I'm glad you brought up these workers, a lot of these civil servants. These are people who are really trying hard, by all accounts, to vote to count the vote accurately. And they're under a great deal of scrutiny and pressure, and in some cases there's angry mobs outside, and absent some credible allegation of wrongdoing, these people are already under a lot of pressure, and I kind of feel for them.
All right, USD business law professor Craig Barkas, thank you so much. We appreciate your perspective.
Thank you very much.
Jared?
Thanks, Virginia. Let's take the macro view, if you will, and give a look at where things stand. Joe Biden still with 253 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 214. Remember, the goal is 270, and there are 5 states really that will decide this election. So let's go through each of them and tell you a little bit about what we know, the latest information. Nevada just released some more ballots, and you can see Joe Biden has increased his slim lead to about 12,000 over Donald Trump. Clark County says they still have 50,000 ballots that they need to count, and this could take until next week. Arizona, no new information overnight. They are going to announce the results of up to 500,000 more votes that they have to count, but Joe Biden's lead is still about 70,000 right now. Over in Pennsylvania, Donald Trump holding on to that 115,000 vote lead, but Pennsylvania election officials say they have lots of votes still coming in that they need to count, that absentee vote that has until Friday to finish. Then you have North Carolina, which Donald Trump looks like he will be able to hold on to as the votes come in. You can see the lead right here, about 80,000 there. And then Georgia, Fulton County earlier today announcing that they have finished all of their counting and are ready to send nearly 100,000 more votes into the system. That could be big because that area has gone heavily Democratic, and you can see Donald Trump only with a 14,000 vote lead in that area. So a lot still at play. Most of the election officials are saying it could be days or even into next week before we know final numbers on these swing states and we find out who gets to 270. For Joe Biden, if he holds on to Nevada and Arizona, that's 270. That makes him the next president. In the Live Center, Jared Aarons, ABC 10 News.
Great breakdown, Jared. Thank you so much. And for the latest results and election updates, be sure to download our free 10 News smartphone app.
We are now following developments in Ramona. The story breaking this morning, deputies scouring a stretch of the 78 for hours looking for a man they say is linked to a homicide. Let's get to ABC 10 News reporter Vanessa Paz. Vanessa, can you tell us who's involved in this investigation?
Well, Virginia, details really slim at this point, but we do know that a manhunt still underway here near Ramona off the 78. And we know that this all started after a call came in just before 6 a.m. that a person just down the street from where we are was suffering from gunshot wounds. A quiet neighborhood off the 78 in Ramona between Olive and Haverford was anything but Thursday, as yellow tape, canines, drones, and choppers overhead announcing suspect come out now was played. This all after a 911 call came in about a person suffering from gunshot wounds at a home off Pine. At the scene, all officials could confirm was that a homicide investigation was underway and that they were looking for a man in a black hoodie. Neighbors we spoke to off camera said a couple homes in the area blocked off also act as businesses. A quick online search showed the home address where the reported shooting took place is a graphic design business started up in 2005. Again, back here live off the 78 near Olive Street. Details really slim at this point. We do know that a manhunt is still underway and the investigation is still pretty active, and we're still waiting to learn if this was linked to some sort of home invasion or altercation. Of course, we will continue to keep you updated throughout the day as we learn new information. Live in Ramona, Vanessa Paz, ABC 10 News.
Vanessa, thank you very much. Well, next week, the county could move into that most restrictive tier because of our COVID-19 numbers. ABC 10 News reporter Marie Cornell spoke with a restaurant owner who's already preparing to make the adjustments now, even before an announcement is made.
When COVID-19 first shut down Chiserina's restaurant, the owners decided to place their focus on serving their customers outdoors. And now as the county moves closer to tougher restrictions, they're glad they did. With the COVID-19 case rate being above the magic number of 7, without any changes, the county warns of the possibility of moving into the purple tier, which would force businesses and places of worship to operate solely outdoors. NICCOLO Angus, who is the co-owner of Chiserina's, says they're already working to add more outdoor seating to accommodate their customers. And they're also looking for ways to keep their customers comfortable outside as we get closer to the cooler winter weather. Aside from adding fire pits and a roof over their patios, they're also looking at other amenities.
We are going to have blankets, which will be sanitized with fabric sanitizer after every use. And these we already had last year. We had those very nice hot water bottles that we would offer to our guests who are sitting outside. And again, these are going to be sanitized after every use with fabric sanitizer.
NICCOLO says they've managed to stay ahead of the game because of their family ties to Italy.
So we kind of had insights and we kind of knew what was going to happen over here. So that, definitely benefited us in being quick and, acting right away. We were probably one of the first restaurants to have an additional outdoor patio.
So while other businesses decide what to do if the restrictions are implemented, NICCOLO says they've already made a commitment to do what they can to keep their dream alive.
We're ready, setting up all the outdoor patios to make them warmer, to make them more comfortable, and to go through a winter, which in San Diego, luckily, is probably not going to be that cold.
NICCOLO says they are working on getting more heaters, but he adds there seems to be a shortage as more businesses are preparing for the cooler temperatures. Reporting from Point Loma, CORONEL, ABC 10 News.
An eye-opening annual report out this morning shows the extent to which the abuse of prescription drugs is amplifying during the pandemic. In just the last hour, a coalition of county leaders sounded the alarm.
This year's report card unfortunately shows an alarming trend upwards, especially in fentanyl-related deaths.
The district attorney says last year San Diego saw 151 fentanyl-related deaths. This year, that number has climbed to 259, with an additional 57 deaths still under investigation. They attribute that in part to the anxiety surrounding the pandemic and our proximity to the border. The Prescription Drug Abuse Task Force is urging families to watch for warning signs and reach out for help if needed. Take a look at your screen. There's the number to call, 888-724-7240.